Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, this evening. I am going to turn to our video, and the sponsorship is by Laura Ridge. So I am going to share this with you.
Live stream is sponsored by Laurel Ridge Treatment Center. Laurel Ridge Behavioral Health Program offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey to wellness. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. They offer inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, and residential treatment. Call 210-491-3591 for no-cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, and create hope.
Right.
This YouTube.
All right. All right, everyone, welcome. Glad you're here. And I see Victoria Arceli. Good, glad you're here. So I see people signing in. So today's topic is on how to handle reactive and explosive individuals. So I would love to hear your questions and respond to these questions. So welcome, Araceli. Glad to have you back. Post your questions here. Okay, let's hope that more will show up. Okay. All right. I see Jeannie. Thank you for coming in, Jeannie. So testing an appraisal class. Feel free to post your questions, Araceli. Carolyn, welcome. Good to have you with us and glad you're able to join us. So today's topic is how to handle reactive and explosive individuals. These individuals could be a child who's reactive, it could be a teenager, it could be a spouse, a coworker, a dear friend. So it could be anyone that is in your circle. And yeah, how to handle these individuals who are both reactive or explosive. So let's hear your questions. I would like to respond to your questions. Okay, glad you're able to join us, Carolyn. So would love to hear your questions about reactive, explosive people. Okay, Isabella, welcome. Welcome back. Okay, so here are some questions. I am going to start with Araceli or Victoria. How can you handle rude customers when when you are when you're when you're nice to them and try not to explode? Wow, that's a awesome question. So how do you handle people that you are nice to, but and then try not to explode or suppress your feelings? Great question, Victoria. So in this situation, it's always important to think about what is the person going through, like what just happened in their space. So did they just get fired? Did they just get into a fight with their spouse, a child, or did they have some news that was very disturbing? Sometimes when we put it on the person and wonder that what just happened to them, did they just lose their job? This is why they're being agitated, irritated. So what is on their plate? So when I think that thought, then it calms me down and it helps me understand that, okay, I do not need to explode. I just need to maybe, reach out and be kind. So it sounds like your day is, not going so well. So tell me again, what can I help you with? So it's easy to mirror their behavior and let that affect you. But I often think, like, even with road rage, I think, okay, what just happened? Is the person, did they just have a fight? Were they on drugs? Did they just drink something? So I put it back on the person, and then it gives you some distance from the tense situation. So learn not to mirror their behavior. So Jeannie asks, how do you stop from being reactive, especially when you know it's hurting the ones you love? So if it's a repeated reactiveness, I would often go, how am I setting myself up? In these situations, I'm doing this repeatedly. So what triggers me? How am I setting myself up in these situations? So I would look at what are the things that bother me, what's in my headspace that triggers me, and I would address it and look at how different issues set you up to explode or to bark or to bicker. So whenever we explode, it's usually not that incident. It's been things that has been brewing, things that have been burping in your headspace, and you have not gotten it out. So this one incident triggers you to blow up. So think about your history the week before, 2 weeks before. What have you been holding on inside? And maybe you were discounted and now you're trying to get back. Maybe you felt unheard and now you bark at that person because you want them to understand your pain. So Shannon goes, what psychological traits are commonly found in individuals who exhibit reactive explosive behaviors? That's a great question. So what are some common traits? You might want to think about if this individual live reactively. Do they have a tendency to mirror other people? And also the traits could also be that there has been a lot of things that's not been dealt with. That's why they explode. Many times when people have too much on their plate, and then you have family issues, you have financial issues, you have workplace issues, it causes people to explode. It causes them to it triggers them easier, and then they blow up. So what are their traits? Traits could be people who don't address issues, people who just let things build up, they just bury, sweep it under the carpet. And over time, if you keep sweeping things under the carpet for 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't take a lot to trigger you. So the common trait is not addressing issues when they show up. Many times, the difference between healthy and unhealthy families is that in healthy families, they address problems. They deal with problems as they show up. In unhealthy families, they sweep things under the carpet. They don't deal with it and they let things build up. Like one of the examples is with alcoholic homes, substance abuse homes. They let things pile up, and then, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then things become harder to piece together. Okay, Isabella asks, how can you help someone who is self-aware that they are reactive but doesn't know how to change their behavior? Great question. So they react, but they don't know how to change. And I wonder if they're open to feedback or they are very rigid and guarded in how they live life. So you have to look at their behaviors outside of their reactiveness. Many times people know they have a problem, but they are afraid to deal with it because they go, if I deal with it and open up boxes or open up cans, then I may not be able to contain it. So people let fear dictate how they deal with things or don't deal with things. So fear curbs them from growing, or anxiety. So they look at outcome and they're afraid that if I go there, open up that box, I may not have the tools. So it may take some understanding to hear them because they are afraid of open. They're afraid to open up boxes. Many times it is not as overwhelming as it seems, but because they have tucked it away for so long, it may be intimidating, it may be scary, it may be easier to do the same. Like in situations that relationships that are toxic, it's easy. Sometimes people think it's easier to stay in it rather than deal with the unknown. So it takes new efforts to look at unknowns. It takes new tools, but many times if you step out of the box, it takes some effort, but it's not going to be an overwhelming effort because you want to deal with problems from a place of courage, not from a place of fear. Okay, Shannon asks, can mindless and emotional regulation training reduce the frequency of reactive aggression? Great question. Okay. Mindfulness. Can mindfulness and emotional regulation? That certainly helps. Mindfulness is helpful. Being intentional is helpful. Being attuned is helpful. You want to use those tools to your advantage, and you also want to have the courage to dig things up, to look at things, and to face it. It's easy to sweep things under the carpet. It's easy to let things go. I mean, not go. You let things not be resolved. But it takes energy, it takes courage to conscientiously deal with problems. Whatever is not dealt with tends to expand and grow in your headspace. Once you deal with it and get it out of your system, it takes less energy because you're not using energy to suppress it and keep it down. So, mindfulness helps, emotional regulation helps, but most of all, look at ways to address these emotions that is burping, that is unresolved. The more you clean out your system, the emotional headspace, the more energy you have to deal with new things that is in your life. You are able, once you get rid of old things, you have room to embrace new things. Okay, Araceli Victoria. Last week I had a customer that I was trying to show him how to use Apple Pay. And he told me to shut up for 4 times. And I just looked at him calmly, but I did tell the manager about it. Okay, awesome. So you were able to share your frustration with the manager. Okay, thank you for sharing that story. Sounds like you were extending a helpful hand. And sometimes people come from different places. They may have a lot of frustration before they show up at the store. But sounds like you did a good job not mirroring, not being, doing the same thing that he did. So you step aside and complain or share it with the manager. That's a very proactive step. Nice work, Araceli. Okay, Carolyn asked, when a partner lashes out at you and cusses, is it good to silently walk away? All right, that's a great question. Yes, it's good to walk away from situations where it's heated, where people are not ready to discuss, but they are ready to react. So, whenever you intentionally walk away, we talked about this last week, whenever you choose to walk away and you're intentional, it helps because in heated situations, people are not ready to talk. They may be in a state where they just need to vent. So if you come up with a different response, if you come up with a more empathic response, and share with them, sounds like you have a lot on your plate, sounds like you're very frustrated with this, sounds like you are not happy about this. If you come with a different response and not answer their question, it usually helps. Because many times when people are heated and they're about to let steam out of their head, ears, whatever, while they may be asking you a question, they really don't want a response. They want somebody to hear them and understand them. Similarly, in crisis situation, even though they ask you a question directly, they're really not looking for an answer. They want to be heard. So in heated situations, I often go, tell me what the frustration is. Tell me what you want me to understand. Help me understand what's going on that has gotten us to this place. So use a different approach rather than answer the question. The more you answer the question, the more the person escalates. So when you choose a different response to show understanding, to show empathy, it usually helps bring them down. Okay, Araceli Victoria goes, how can I not let my feelings get hurt when someone talks to me in an ugly way? Okay, that's a good point. It could be someone who is a family member, a child, a spouse, a customer, a coworker, or even sometimes a church member. How can I let my feelings not be hurt? It's important to acknowledge, wow, that stung. That comment was very sharp. It was very cutting. So it's important to say it in your head, remember that, and acknowledge that pain. But then in the moment, step back. Don't step forward. Don't step forward to, again, like I say, mirror their image, mirror their behavior. But step back to always understand, okay, what drives that sharp comment? Is this a behavior that is common to that person? Is this something they have been doing for a long time and they do it repeatedly? So think about how these people function when they're not in your space. Because usually people behave consistently. Whenever they're rude, they'll probably be rude to lots of people in their environment. If they are gossipy, they will be gossipy in a lot of situations. So I try to understand the person and their behavior and not make it about me. Put it back where it belongs so it's not a personal jab. It takes practice to give things back to people and not just take everything that comes into your head space and your emotional space. So I often wonder, okay, what drives that jabbiness? What drives their impulsive comments, their sharp comments? So it helps to step back and look at the bigger picture. Okay, Jeannie asks, how do you remain calm and not reactive when someone is exploding in anger in you? Especially you've been subjected to a lot of angry outbursts from your parents during childhood. All right, that's a great parallel. Many times we marry partners that are very similar in trait to our parents. And when we don't resolve our childhood issues, then we have the same way of coping as we did in our childhood. So how do you remain calm? Earlier, I said it also helps to walk away. It also helps to respond with curiosity. So tell me what is bothering you. Tell me what is going on. So in these situations, when there's tension, I always try to go into understand what is it that you want me to hear. So when you respond in a curious, inquisitive way, people tend to come down from their explosion. So your reaction when you don't mirror them, it helps because then you are being the adult in the room, then you're the person who is level-headed, and then someone said who is mindful, that you have emotional regulation. So you can make choices that is in your best interest. And if it's triggering your childhood issues, it's important to seek help to address it so that you don't subject yourself to repeated injury. It's healthy to look at your issues, and then it's healthy to respond differently. So you set yourself up for success with people who are explosive. Okay, Lisa Pena goes, how do you guide a client who can self-regulate their emotions much better when at work with people they do not love but are completely reactive when at home, and with people they live with that love them? Okay, excellent question. So outside, I'm hearing that outside they show a very different front. At home, they show a very explosive, reactive front. In such situations, it may be helpful to think about the messages and the scripts that these individuals live by. Could it be that they have been told to keep up a front that is very glossy, a picture of, perfectionism, things look well, things, put together. But at home, they've been holding it in when they're outside, but at home they like let it all out. So it's important to point out their behavior. It's also important not to engage in it. When you know that this is a common behavior, you can either remove yourself so that you're not subject to that. So you change the dance. Don't just keep dancing the same dance to a tune that doesn't work. So as a proactive person, learn to change the dance, change the tune, change the music so that you are not just reacting, because your reactiveness also mirrors theirs. Okay. So you can make choices and not dance according to their tune. So Brad Miller, what strategies or techniques would you recommend for someone who needs to work on emotional regulation or mindfulness? Lots of great questions here again. So, what strategies or techniques would you recommend? What's coming to my head is, if you show level-headedness, you show mindfulness, you don't engage in the same toxic dance. And when you talk to the person after their explosion, when they are calm, it could be a few days later, it could be a week later. When you talk to them, you can share with them, this is the pattern. I do not want to get engaged with this. I do not want this to be our pattern. I would like for us to do more calm problem solving, more mature behavior. Share with them what you want to see happen. Take out the blame, take out the attack, and say things like, oh, you act like your father. You behave like your mother. Your tongue is very sharp. If we attack them, then it causes yet another explosion. It's important to think about, when they're calm, what is it that you want to say? Say it in few points. Write it down. And then sometimes, people are into texting these days. Share with that person through a text and say, I want our relationship to work. This is our pattern. I've seen this happen for the last few weeks. I would love for us to work with each other differently. So be the adult in the room. Take steps and plan it rather than just react and feel helpless. Always step out of the box and look for options that work. Look for options that is in your best interest, that protects your wellness. Okay, last questions from Jeannie is when when is it better to let things go by showing grace and forgiveness to the person who has offended you, and when is it better to confront the person? Is it better to show grace than confrontation? Awesome question. To me, I would address the problem when it happens repeatedly. You want to set yourself up to have emotional wellness, to speak for yourself, to be your own advocate. So don't subject yourself to the same situations month after month, week after week, year after year. So I would address the situation in periods of calmness. When things are intense, I would not talk about it. I would step away. So you show people grace when they really put in effort to make changes. And when I see a slight change, I would compliment them. I would compliment them and let them know that I noticed their change. I noticed that they put in effort to be calm. I noticed that they put in effort to ask rather than blame. I noticed that they put in effort to talk, to walk away. So recognize their changes and remind them throughout the week, hey, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for slowing down. I know you wanted to speed up and explode some more, but you're doing a good job trying these. So grace is also coupled with positive reinforcement, positive reminders. So let them know. Children appreciate it when you tell them what they've done well. Don't focus on their mistakes and highlight it. Focus on the small wins, the small success, and share it and applaud them and thank them for making those changes. All right. Thank you so much for attending this tonight's session. Awesome questions. So next week, we're going to deal with effective tools to work with defiant children and teens. So bring your questions and bring a friend, bring a family member, bring your children, ask them to type in a question. I want participation from different age groups. And so this is a time for you to maybe have a family time and see, who wants to jot down a question. So again, this program is sponsored by Laurel Ridge, and I am going to go to the commercial and let me see if I can be successful with that. Okay, share.
Live stream is sponsored by Laurel Ridge Treatment Center. Laurel Ridge Behavioral Health Program offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey to wellness. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. They offer inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, and residential treatment. Call 210-491-3591 for no-cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, and create hope. This YouTube live.
All right. Thank you so much for attending tonight's session. I really appreciate your great questions. Good to see you all. I like the familiar names. I appreciate your time. Hope you have a calm week and an awesome evening, and continue to make changes and do behaviors that is different from a reactive person. Have a wonderful week.